Let us talk plainly and thoughtfully about this latest round of tabloid noise, because once again Meghan Markle is being cast as some kind of controlling villain, while Prince Harry is framed as a man without agency, and that narrative deserves serious unpacking. The claim that Meghan has massive amounts on her husband and controls every major decision, including haircuts and ski trips, is not new. It is recycled language that tabloids have used for years whenever they want to undermine their marriage. What is interesting is not the claim itself, but how easily the public is expected to accept that a grown man, a former army officer, a founder of Invictus Games, and someone who has openly spoken about reclaiming his autonomy, would somehow be incapable of making choices without permission. Healthy marriages involve communication. They involve checking in with one another. They involve compromise. When one partner says, "I will check with my wife first," that is not evidence of control. It is evidence of respect. Yet when Harry does this, it is weaponized against Meghan in a way that would never happen if the roles were reversed. If Prince William checks with Catherine, it is called partnership. If Harry checks with Meghan, it is called domination. That double standard tells you everything you need to know about the agenda behind these stories. Okay, magazine and unnamed insiders love to frame Meghan as the final decision-maker because it feeds into a long-standing stereotype of women, particularly outspoken women, being manipulative or bossy. Meghan is a woman who plans, who thinks ahead, who considers consequences, and who protects her family fiercely. Those qualities are framed as strengths in men, but as threats in women. The idea that Harry generally goes along with whatever Meghan wants but does not like it, or that it is not sustainable, is especially revealing. It assumes Harry is silently unhappy, trapped, and unable to speak for himself. This directly contradicts everything Harry has said publicly, repeatedly, in interviews, documentaries, books and speeches. Harry has been clear that leaving the royal system was his choice too. He has been clear that protecting his wife from the kind of abuse his mother suffered was non-negotiable. He has been clear that therapy, boundaries, and stepping away from toxic environments saved his life. Yet tabloids continue to push the idea that he is nearing his limit because they refuse to accept that a man can willingly choose a different path from what his family or the institution expected. Friends supposedly warning Meghan about danger signs is another familiar tactic. Anonymous pals appear whenever a story needs credibility but cannot be backed up by facts. These friends never go on record. They never speak with names. They never appear when Meghan is being praised or succeeding. They only exist when the narrative requires tension. Let us also talk about the claim that Meghan has put her foot down about returning to the UK. The last time she was there in an official capacity, she was booed while heavily pregnant, grieving, and already under immense pressure. That was not just a public moment. It was a deeply personal one. Any partner who witnessed their spouse being treated that way would be cautious about returning too. Choosing not to put yourself back into a hostile environment is not control. It is self-preservation. Meghan is allowed to say, "That place was unsafe for me emotionally and mentally." That does not make her unreasonable. It makes her human. At the same time, the reports also admit something important, even if they try to downplay it. Harry wants his children to see the UK. He wants them to understand their heritage. And the same sources say Meghan would come back with him and the children if the conditions were right. That alone dismantles the idea that she is banning the UK outright. If Meghan were truly controlling and selfish, she could easily say no under any circumstances. Instead, what we see is a mother weighing security, media hostility, and her children's well-being. That is what responsible parenting looks like. The line about them loving to do stuff as a family is actually one of the most honest parts of the entire report. Harry and Meghan are deeply family-oriented. They have consistently shielded their children from cameras, from public pressure, and from the kind of intrusion Harry knows all too well from his own childhood. When they do philanthropic work together, they often bring their children privately. That speaks volumes about their values. They want their kids to see service, compassion and purpose as part of everyday life, not as a performance. The idea that Harry would bring the children to the UK without Meghan makes no sense. Harry has already lost his mother. He has spoken openly about the pain of separation and instability. Why would he voluntarily recreate that dynamic for his own children by travelling without their mother into a media storm? The Times noting that security is a key consideration is critical here. Harry has been fighting for security not for ego, not for status, but because he knows what happens when protection is withdrawn and threats are ignored. This is not paranoia. This is lived experience. If security is sorted, of course it opens the door to more visits. That is not Meghan controlling Harry. That is both parents agreeing that safety comes first. What is missing from all these stories is the simplest explanation. Harry and Meghan make decisions together. Sometimes one leads, sometimes the other does. That is how partnerships work. The tabloids hate this because it removes their favourite villain narrative. They also hate the fact that Meghan is not silent. She is educated, articulate, strategic, and unafraid to set boundaries. In royal terms, that is disruptive. In real-world terms, that is healthy. Harry choosing to listen to his wife does not mean he is weak. It means he values her perspective. After everything he has been through, after losing his mother, being hounded by the press, and feeling unsupported by the institution, why would he not trust the person who stood by him, protected him, and built a new life with him? The suggestion that this dynamic is unsustainable says more about the people making the claim than about the couple themselves. Harry and Meghan have faced pressure that would break most relationships. They have survived global scrutiny, legal battles, family estrangement, and relentless media attacks. Yet they continue to present a united front. That is not the sign of a man nearing his limit. That is the sign of a man who knows exactly what he wants and is willing to defend it. Every time Meghan is portrayed as controlling, it conveniently erases Harry's voice. It infantilizes him. It suggests he cannot think critically or make informed choices. That is deeply insulting to him, yet it is framed as concern for his well-being. If Harry were truly unhappy, he has platforms, resources and support systems to speak out. He has already shown he is willing to challenge powerful institutions when necessary. The idea that he is silently suffering while smiling in public is pure projection. The truth is far less dramatic and far more threatening to tabloids. Harry and Meghan are aligned. They prioritize their children. They consult each other. They plan carefully. They refuse to be reckless with their safety or mental health. That does not sell magazines. Conflict sells. Control narratives sell. Pitting spouses against each other sells. So when you read claims about haircuts and ski trips, ask yourself why those details are included. They are meant to sound ridiculous, to strip Harry of dignity, and to paint Meghan as absurdly overbearing. It is character assassination dressed up as insider gossip. At its core, this story is not about concern. It is about punishment. Meghan dared to leave. She dared to speak. She dared to succeed outside the system. Harry dared to follow his own conscience. For that, they must be portrayed as unstable, unhappy, and on the brink. Yet time and time again, their actions tell a different story. They show consistency. They show intentionality. They show love, partnership, and a shared vision for their family. And that is why these narratives will keep coming. Because as long as Harry and Meghan remain united, autonomous and unbroken, they represent something the old system cannot control.